The syntax of so-called Urdu is Hindi. The structure of it. The Muslims see it as a Muslim language. That is why you had the Hindu-Urdu controversy in the 1860s and subsequently. And that I've discussed with in detail. Urdu is the language of Mughal pride and is also the language of the gentry. Hindi is the language of the common people.
Good evening, Sai. Yeah, this is Vasundhara. I believe languages and rivers play important role in building the civilization.
Right.
I want to know what is your opinion or stand about the Urdu language. Is it a Hindustani language born in the, we believe, military camp, or is it a Muslim language? And at last but not least, very much impressed by your bulletproof argument. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks. So, if you watch the Delhi launch event, Shri Meenakshi Jain spoke exactly for 15 minutes and she addressed this issue brilliantly. I would urge people here to watch that on the issue of what is the origin of Urdu. She explains it brilliantly because you have to realize. So language needs a syntax and then it needs words to populate that syntax. The syntax of so-called Urdu is Hindi. The structure of it, right? Now the question was, when they were trying to create what they call the lingua franca, or let's say a common tongue for people, the Mughals effectively decided to populate and intersperse this syntax with Persian words and Arabic words. She explains that sequence brilliantly as to how this was a specific decision taken in the Mughal Darbar. She's the better person to speak on the subject, so I'm just paraphrasing what she said. But speaking from my knowledge, the Muslims see it as a Muslim language. That is why you had the Hindu-Urdu controversy in the 1860s and subsequently. And that I've discussed with in detail with extracts from this, let's say from history in the second book, as to how language is a part of the two-nation theory. So it's not a question of what I see it as. They are very clear about the fact, at least the proponents of two-nation theory were very clear about the fact that this is a language that is to be associated with Islam. So much so that Lala Lajpat Rai and subsequently the Maharaja of Nabha in Punjab, both of them opposed the British for imposing Urdu on them. Because they said this is effectively rubbing salt on our wounds after having faced aggression for so many centuries. So compare that with the current generation which effectively think that Sufism, Urduism, everything go together in Punjab and all that. You're literally spitting on the sacrifices of your ancestors who fought for this. Lala Lajpat Rai went to the extent of saying that I will never speak on a public platform in Urdu. That was his position. He was an Arya Samaji who clearly took this position. And he said, this is a symbol of oppression, I will not speak in this language. And Syed Ahmad Khan, who was the founder of the Mohammedan Anglo-Oriental College, which then became Aligarh Muslim University, specifically was pushing for it, and before the W. Hunter Commission, which was the Indian Commission for Education Reforms, goes on to submit this in his deposition before that commission. Urdu is the language of Mughal pride and is also the language of the gentry. Hindi is the language of the common people, or which is to say, he uses the word vulgar not in the vulgar sense, but to say that it's a common street language. And he clearly says that he tells his community that the fight for Urdu is the fight for Islam. So organizations are set up around that particular period. Multiple anjumans are set up only for the defense of Urdu. Urdu Defense Association was set up, by the way, specifically. So when someone says language is just a means of communication, it's got nothing to do with culture, it's got nothing to do with religion, I don't know what you're talking about.